All right, welcome to the Dakotan Live with Kim Fundingsland, brought to you by Shock Safe and Lock. My name is Jonathan Starr, and today, Kim, we're doing something different, at least for the Dakotan. We're going live so that we can actually hear from our readers. We want to hear what they have to say, what you have to say. So as we go about this, we encourage you to drop a comment down there. Ask us questions. Ask us what the best fishing lures to use, because you probably have an opinion on that.
I could go on for a week, Jonathan. Fishing here.
Well,
But there's a lot. There's a lot of news things in town, and there's things we don't know about. And if people have an idea, we'd like to hear about it.
right? We got murder mysteries happening. We've got city council making big decisions, and we got Doug Burgum running for president. It's a crazy time right now out there. Be safe out there.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding.
So let's lead it off here. Well, again, make sure that you leave a comment down there, ask us a question. But let's kick it off with the Minot High School. It's going on in North Hill. There's a lot of construction happening up there.
You know, that was the people passed a bond issue a couple of years ago now,
Right.
and there's been a lot of progress up there. It's really pretty neat what they're doing. And we tend to forget that they got that building for $10, or the Cognizant building, and huge. I forget the number, like 250,000
Right.
square feet.
It's
And they got a
huge.
second building that's 7,500 square feet, and it's all coming together.
That's
They're
awesome.
Putting up the gymnasium and pool area and all that's going up right now.
You've had a couple tours?
I had a couple tours, and really eye-opening.
Okay.
You know, it kind of makes me want to go back to school.
If I was to go back to school, I don't know if high school would be the place I'd want to go, though. That's kind of tough.
This one's nice, believe me.
Yeah.
It's great for kids. And what really strikes me as I walk through those hallways and classrooms up there is the way the approach to education has changed,
Okay.
and it's reflected in this school. And
That's neat.
talking to Superintendent Vollmer,
Okay.
same thing. He says, "Wow, has this changed?" And he's been at it for
Right.
30 some years.
That's probably really important for the city. Do you know when, this is off the top, I didn't preface this question at all. Do you know when the other high schools were built approximately?
Ooh, I think, no, I don't.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking
I mean,
Magic City campus just had an anniversary, but I don't
Okay.
remember if it's 30 or
Yeah.
25, but it's up there. What,
Had to be a
50
while.
maybe?
Right.
Maybe that much.
Yeah, had to be a while. I mean, the downtown campus, I mean, you didn't just build that. That was probably a little bit part of Minot for a while.
That was
So-
the high school. It
Wow.
was a 4-year high school, which is Central
Yeah.
Campus, and they converted it to 9th and 10th, and now it'll go to what, 8th, 9th, and 10th, I guess now.
Okay.
So,
I see. It's going
no, 7, 8, and 9. I'm
7, 8,
sorry.
9. Okay. It's going to be interesting to see
I'm
how.
gonna back that up again. The new high schools are switching to 4 years,
Yep.
so the high schools will have 10,
Right.
9, 10, 11, and 12.
Yep. Makes sense. It's going to be interesting to see how the dynamics of the school system changes too, because Minot hasn't had an in-town rivalry. We've always been united against foes, Williston or Bismarck or wherever else. So it's going to be interesting to see how the dynamics change of the town a little bit.
Right, and that's I don't know, but I'm guessing there'll be some families with kids in both schools.
Yeah.
Just because some kids want to stay loyal to their old school and some
Yep.
want to be at the new school, and
Right.
and,
Yeah. You got to.
it'll be fun. You know, it was really nice. The last tour I took up there just last week was what was used to be a daycare building up there for
Okay.
Cognizant, but they've turned that into a CDL learning center, so they
Oh, wow.
can actually bring in big farm machinery. They've got big simulators. If you want to learn how to drive a semi or a bus or a
That's
tractor,
incredible.
it's all programmable. It's,
Yeah.
like the flight simulators you see, only this
Right.
is the big trucks and things. So kids will be able to learn that, and they'll be able to do
That's
mechanic
fantastic.
work indoors on it.
That's way cool. That's going back to what you're saying about it being more modern and stuff like that. That's cutting edge right there.
It is, and it's trades. Everybody says you got to learn how to be a doctor and a lawyer, but you need trades too. You need plumbers and electricians and
Right.
drivers and
Yeah.
diesel mechanics and all those things. And this gives students a chance to try it out, and they can do it and say, "Hey, I love this," or they can go, "That's not a career for me." They can find
Right.
out. And the other part of that building, Jonathan, they've got it's a daycare for children, and I shouldn't call it a daycare. It's a child care learning center.
Okay.
So kids, students, teachers that need it, or even the community in the evenings, they can come in and learn about childcare.
Oh,
and see
wow.
if they're really interested in doing that.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
it's fascinating. So you can learn how to drive a bus or a truck, or you can learn how to change diapers.
wow,
Pretty
that's
neat.
incredible.
Yeah, nice
Which
stuff.
which is obviously something that's incredibly important in our town right now. So, the vision of that is great. So, speaking of daycare, let's just jump into that topic. There's no daycares available in Minot?
Well, it's limited. It's getting tough.
Okay.
You know, I can say my daughter, I have two grandchildren. She has
Yeah.
my grandchildren, and her daycare had two different locations, and they just closed one of them.
Wow.
So there was, I don't know how many parents, but quite a few parents all of a sudden were out of a daycare.
Right.
So I found another daycare in a church in town that was just starting.
Mhm.
And but the price, I remember when I had two children in daycare was $500 a month.
Right.
I thought this is outrageous.
Yeah.
And now it's price for two kids in daycare is like 1,800 a month. So
For 2 kids.
for two kids, so you're going to be there.
Yeah,
So,
I got the second one now. Um, all right.
so it's a burden on families. They have to decide whether the wife's going to work
Yeah.
or stay home and take care of the kids. And, you know, can I make ends meet? I mean, it's a dilemma, but there is the city council has a committee. I don't remember what the committee is called, but it's a committee on childcare, I think,
Yep.
in Minot. And I attended one of those committee meetings here a week ago, and one of the things was there's no space for daycare. Well, then the counter argument to that is there's plenty of space, but it's not affordable. It's not set up
Mhm.
right. It costs money to get it set up for a daycare.
Okay.
The other thing, two things, they want to increase the salary for daycare workers to make it more attractive to
Right.
work in daycare, but they also want to lower the price of daycare.
Mm.
So
That's hard to do.
they're
That's really hard to do.
going two different directions,
Right.
and I don't know how it's solved. But
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you were mentioning $1,800 a month for 2 kids, and if the one of the spouses is making $18 an hour, which used to be a decent wage, not really anymore, that's $3,100 a month that they're making. So half of the spouse's income is going straight to daycare. Of course, that's gross pay. So another third of that's going to taxes, and by the or a quarter of it by the end of it,
yeah,
you have
it's
$1,000.
a hefty bill. You know,
It's just incredible.
it's really tough, and it holds families back from
Right.
buying cars or switching homes, all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Right. So they want to go and increase the price or increase the hourly wage for a daycare worker and decrease the price of daycare in general.
Sounds like a subsidy coming, doesn't it?
Right. That's exactly the word that comes to mind for that.
It might be that might be where it winds up. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really wants to go there, but you might not have a choice. And now Minot Air Force Base had representatives at that meeting because it's really getting to be
Yeah.
a crisis there because new airmen come in, and we're going to have quite a few come in when this new Sentinel project comes in. What, another 2 years, I think it is.
Okay.
That's a multi-billion-dollar project, and it's going to bring a lot of families to the area. They're going to need daycare.
Did the base provide any perspective of whether or not they were dealing with this in other areas?
No, the impression I got from the representatives in the base who were there was they were getting very close to ultimate panic.
Wow.
You know, they were,
Interesting.
what, we got to have some answers here, and we
Yeah.
need them quick.
Right.
You know, so that it's a
How
big
long?
problem.
How long has it been a problem? I mean, you've always heard about the daycare in Minot, but it seems like it's really escalated over the last couple of years.
I think your timeline's about right, but it's reached a point where enough people are mentioning it to aldermen and city leaders and saying, "Hey, this is not good."
Right.
And so the city's trying to act. It'll be interesting to see if they can act fast enough.
Yeah. City's got a tough job there.
Yeah. And then another one was, not to stay on the subject too long, but I wasn't aware that Minot State had a daycare on
Oh,
campus there in
interesting.
Dakota Hall, which took care of their employees that wanted to use their daycare. But
Right.
now they're taking that building down. It's being taken down. So the daycare on Minot State, the way I understood it. So they're certainly losing a big asset up there. And
Is that the solution right there? Rather than have it subsidized, I shouldn't say is that the solution, is that a solution rather than have it subsidized by the government to instead for employers to create daycares so that way as an amenity to their employees, and they should get better employees with it.
I think, yeah, that's a great plan.
Right.
You know, and it has worked in areas, but with the way prices are and everything today, I'm not
Yeah.
so sure employers are going to be real willing to do that
Right,
or
yeah.
have the room to do that.
Yeah, because it does take a lot of space,
Yep.
let alone the cost of a good daycare worker. It takes a lot of space.
Correct. Yep. It's a dilemma, but other cities are going through it too. And the legislature addressed that. They put a lot of money into the governor's daycare initiative. I'm not sure where all that money's going to land or
Right,
how much good it's going to do, but it's a statewide problem. It isn't
right.
just Minot.
Yeah, interesting. Well, do want to give a shout out to our advertisers, to Shock, Safe, and Lock. If you need any locksmith needs, or if you need to just go get yourself a safe, protect those guns, protect those valuables, go to Shock, Safe, and Lock. They're doing some great things over there in Grain Handling Direct. You can find more about them online, grainhandlingdirect.com. Always good to have a couple good advertisers. All right, we're going to transition and continue with the city talk and talk about the newly reinstated HRC ordinance, Human Relations Committee ordinance.
Now, you were there.
Yeah,
I
did.
watched a little bit of it online, but I know you've been a little bit involved in that. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
Lydia Hoverson started out on it, and then I kind of continued it on, and it's been a really interesting back and forth. Obviously, probably the biggest takeaway from it is the public really cares about what's going to happen. The citizens of Minot really care about this on both sides, which is great. It was neat to see the new city hall packed out. Couple times.
Yeah.
Every single meeting that I was there, it was amazing to see the turnout for it. And sometimes it was standing room only. So that was really cool to see. And what was interesting about it, at least in my opinion, is the turnout got to the point where it almost wore down the city council. In the last meeting, they're like, we've seen the emails. Mayor Ross, he didn't want to open the floor to discussion again because it happened at the past ones. And he's like, we know what you're going to say. And I mean, one councilman had words that were kind of strong about the turnout. And I think it's interesting. I think first off, good job, Minot, for turning out. If you care about the subject, turn out, support it, whatever side you're on, support the issue.
That, I interrupt you saying, that really struck me, by the way, because it's so often there's meetings that they're
Right.
just not attended by the public unless you have something on the agenda you want to talk about. But this was different.
Right.
People showed up and said, wait a second, what are you guys doing here? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
You know, here's what we think. And there's a bunch of us out here.
Right. And whether it doesn't matter to me what side of the issue you're on, but the city council took it so far where the public changed the direction that was going to go, which is incredible. You showing up does matter. And so of course it got reinstated, and now there's a committee in place or they're building the committee, I should say. It's co-chaired by Lisa Olson and Carrie Evans, and they're going to look at changing the verbiage and all that, what the purpose of the HRC ordinance is to do. And so it'll be interesting to see what comes from that. Obviously, if you want to hear all the debate and all the banter that's gone with it, go to the City of Minot's YouTube page and listen to because there's a lot of discussion that's had on it that I don't really have any interest in getting into. But it'll be interesting to see what the long-term effects on it. Hopefully, overall, it's a good thing, but we'll see.
Yeah, and the temper of the times is in Minot, North Dakota now, I guess
Yeah.
you'd say. But you got a couple of capable aldermen
Yep.
chairing that. So
You do.
This
Yep.
will be interesting to see what they come up with.
Yeah, and one of the councilmen said, I wish we had this much turnout for a budget meeting. I'm like, all right, let's do it, Minot. Let's pack out the city council. Let's give our opinion on the budget,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. Let's give it. They want to hear it, so that was pretty interesting. So, big news. Our governor is running for president. How do you feel about that?
That was rumored for a while, and I didn't
was.
even believe the rumor.
Yeah.
Then I started checking on it a little bit, and darned if he didn't.
Yeah.
Start writing those checks for many millions of dollars
Right.
for ads in different states. That's serious stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. I didn't believe it at first. And then all of a sudden, it started becoming more consistent that, yeah, this probably is going to happen. And then what do you
I'm
know?
sure everyone's watching tonight has got their share of emails from Doug Burgum for president.
Yeah.
Need $1 here and need a
Right.
dollar there. And it's all to get on the debate stage and get a little national
He needs
recognition or
40
exposure.
$40,000 $1 donors is all he needs to get on there.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Can money buy that?
I don't know. You even get a chance to see anything when you are on that debate stage. That's the other thing. But
How many candidates are there now?
oh my goodness.
There's going to be double digits
14
probably.
is there? Is that
Wow,
what it is? 14,
crazy.
15? So some of them I haven't even heard of, and most of the country never heard of Doug Burgum. So that's interesting too. But I did see a poll this afternoon, Jonathan, that Doug Burgum is polling 2%.
Wow.
And that, he was at 0.8 or 0.3 or whatever, but you know who else is polling 2%?
Who's that?
Former Vice President Mike Pence.
Wow. That's incredible.
So
that's incredible.
Is Burgum going to push Pence off the debate stage?
That'd be interesting. Dude, it's going to be a crowded stage. Let's see. According to one source, we got Ron DeSantis, which we knew about.
Yep.
Donald Trump, Nikki Haley. So that's 3. Mike Pence, just talked about. 4. Tim Scott.
Yep.
Ted Cruz.
No.
Oh, he decided not to. Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Binkley. Doug Burgum. Chris Christie. Larry Elder. Will Hurd. Asa Hutchinson. Perry Johnson. Vivek
Ramaswamy.
There you are. Francis Suarez. And then there's a couple more that might happen, might not, because there's still a couple days left. But that's a lot of people on that stage.
Well, I remember a few years ago, they had to divide it up in the A team and the B team for debates.
Right, which that's not even right. Not when you're doing a debate. So, yeah, let us know what you think about Doug Burgum running for president. Is it that he wants to be president of the United States? Is it that he's trying to position himself for a position in the cabinet? What's going on? What's your thoughts on it? Let us know in the comments. Would love to hear more about that.
It's interesting that somebody from North Dakota would even try that.
How many times has that happened over the years? I give you all the hard questions.
I think once somebody long time ago put their name in, but not a serious run like Doug Burgum's trying to do.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that was in the 30s, 40s.
Gotcha.
It was
a while ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, it had to be way different running for president then too. Yeah, it'll be interesting. $1 billion. The over advertised Doug Burgum. He's a billionaire and all this stuff. It'll be interesting. The money's not going to be the factor. The money might get him to the debate stage. You still have to get 40,000 different people. It's not just $40,000 in fundraising. 40,000 different people to give $1. But I don't know if money plays a huge stage in the national stage, but I don't know if it's going to be everything for him. Obviously, there's going to have to be something more.
Oh, and I understand he's got a lot of good connections. He's got a lot of donors, and probably some of them are just waiting to see how this develops over the next week or 2 or 3 before they write that big check. But when you mentioned $40,000, $1 a piece coming from North Dakotans, but what'll that buy you? 10-second ad somewhere?
Right. Yeah. That won't buy you much.
No.
That won't buy you much.
But the whole point is you have to show X amount of support to qualify to debate. I think that's the issue, isn't it? Yeah,
that is the issue. And I think that there were probably after last time when they had to do an A and B team, they were trying to find a way to make it where we have to have a legitimate person here, not just you or I. Not that I want to be on that stage.
You mentioned Chris Christie? Was he on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He was.
I can't remember him all even.
Yeah, that guy never gets out. Interesting stuff. We'll continue to follow that. So one person says, Callum says, Doug is not famous or likable enough to become president. And I've not heard any revolutionary ideas from him, but attention for the state and for himself for any other motive he may have. And it is true. It does get North Dakota a little bit of attention.
It does get North Dakota a little bit of attention. As far as his message overall is a pretty good one. I think people will like it. Yeah. But they might have the same feeling that we have. Was, can a guy from North Dakota really make a dent here? Right. We don't have a city of 1 million people somewhere that could get behind him. You know? I mean, it's just different. So
right. Yep, you're right.
But I think it's good. I think there's a lot of capable people that that can run and could be good presidents. So I think it's good a guy like Doug Burgum runs.
Hmm.
And I wish him well. I don't know how far he can get or how big a shakeup he can do or what his whole purpose is. He might be
Yeah.
thinking a cabinet post or
Right.
who knows what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Some people say he's setting it up to make a more serious run in 4 years.
And that could be, he's still young as far as that's concerned. Another person says, Leaf says, pretty sure Bill Langer tried running.
That might be the one.
Gotcha.
Wild Bill Langer. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that sounds like him.
Yeah, there you go. So another ad real quick. At Dakota Hope, they believe every pregnant woman deserves love and support no matter what her circumstances. So if you or someone you know has an unintended or otherwise stressful pregnancy, come see the nurses at Dakota Hope for free information and support. Go to dakotahope.org. Also want to give a shout out to EXP Realty and Tim Knutson. If you're looking for a real estate home, commercial or residential, reach out to Tim. He'll do a great job for you, someone you can trust. And Latendress Agency, Kellen Latendress over there with farmers. He's someone else you can trust. Yeah, last year I hit a horse. And next day I had to give Kellen a call, and he was able to get us taken care of, and it all worked out smooth. Hit a horse, yeah.
You got to explain that a little bit.
I was on the way home from church, and it was a little bit later at night, and we were living out in the country at the time, and there was an animal that crossed the road, and my wife exclaimed, as wives do. And at first, my initial reaction is not to trust it because it could be a bird or whatever. Who knows? It just moved me. And then I look up, and there's a dark figure. I'm like, we're about to hit a moose. Like, this is not good. We couldn't really see other than the figure. And right before we hit it, right before we made contact, there wasn't much room for us to stop. We hit it going way too fast in the 50s or 60s. But she's like, I think it's a horse. And they went bam. And sure enough, it got thrown off to the side of the road, and we went and looked at it, and there was a horse.
Injury-free, was it?
Injury-free.
Horse?
Horse didn't make it. The car didn't make it. But my wife and I and my little boy in the back, we didn't even have a scratch.
Good for you guys. That's Kellen Latendress Insurance Agency, but that guy can fish, by the way.
Okay.
I've fished with him a couple times, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
He is absolutely awesome. What a personable guy. Nice guy to be around.
Yes.
He's just a great guy. So
fantastic. Yeah, he does his
nice addition.
Guide service as well. I'm sure that's probably a good trip. But fishing, you done any of that this year?
I have.
Yeah.
So don't get me started. We don't have the sun will come up before I finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love it. I like being out in the boat. You don't think about anything else. You're just
nice.
Fishing. It's relaxing, which is I think the biggest benefit.
Right.
And there's other activities that people have like that too, but fishing is mine.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. And just times when I have real good success.
Right.
And I think I'm one of the best fishermen around.
Yeah, that's
great.
Go
fishing again. And it puts you right in your place and you want to quit.
That's awesome. It sounds like my golf game. I never think I'm the best guy around, but every round I'm like, maybe I should just quit.
It humbles you real quick. You just don't brag too much because you're going to run into that same person a couple days later.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to tell the truth.
Yeah. I think in North Dakota, we have learned to have an appreciation for the outdoors. When it's summertime, you better take advantage.
I think so. And I talk fishing, but there's so many people that jet ski or pontoon, swim, or just enjoy the lake.
Yeah.
North Dakota is, I call it the biggest economic engine in the state. And obviously, you're going to have farming and oil and all these other things, but Lake Sakakawea, Lake Metagoshi, Lake Oahe, these places are packed with people.
Right.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And when you sit on South Broadway in Minot or the edge of town on a Thursday evening, Friday afternoon, whatever, and you see the fifth wheelers and boats.
It's incredible.
Big 4-wheel drive. I mean, everybody's got $200,000 of the equipment going down the road.
Yeah.
And it's just one right after another, and that's coming from all directions in that big lake. So it's got an impact.
Right. And then you talk about the equipment people buy, but there's people that have second homes at the lake, and they only can use them, 6, 9 months, maybe 12 months.
It's amazing. I mean, they've got at Van Hook down towards Newtown. Now, I haven't looked to see who's in that area in the
Right.
last couple of years, but that used to be about a third to a half of Minot people. You'd
Wow.
recognize almost every name.
Wow.
They got
Incredible.
a second home down at
Yeah.
Van Hook.
That's incredible. Yeah.
That was the big deal. So
Definitely an economic factor, driving factor there. So let us know down in the comments, what's your favorite outdoor activity to do during the summer? Mine, it's probably got to be golf. It's probably mine.
well, those are the two biggest things in North Dakota. And somebody will dispute.
Yeah,
I can't even
right.
prove that, but it's basically water activities. Golf
Yep.
would be the other one. I mean, because
Right.
every town's got a golf course or two.
Yeah, it's
or
incredible.
three,
Right.
depending on the size of the town. But it's a huge activity.
It is.
Absolutely huge and passionate. Oh my goodness. You guys are nuts. You think
Well, I'm
fishermen are
not.
bad. You guys are worse.
I'm not. I'm very laid back. I just do it to be outdoors.
For all the
Yeah.
wives listening, fishing rods now are up to $5. The golf clubs are what, $3 a piece?
$3
now?
a piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going up.
It's crazy, but we'll make it somehow.
Yeah.
Next week, I get to go to the Badlands and get to go hike. And that's something else. If
The golf course?
Well, we might do that too, but we're gonna hike the outdoors, the national park there. It's gonna be a fantastic time. And that's just North Dakota's beauty. You hear about people that live in like Arizona or whatever, and you're like, oh, so you've been to the Grand Canyon? And they're like, no. It's like, what? You live in Arizona. How have you not been? Right.
Yeah.
But it's amazing when you live in, I used to live in Oregon, and there's a place called Crater Lake. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Crater Lake.
You haven't been there.
I haven't been there either. I lived in Oregon.
Oh, my goodness.
And so you got to take advantage of the beauty that your state has.
You know, I've got several places in North Dakota I like, but I think my favorite place is the North Unit
Okay.
Park.
Yeah.
And second might be the South Unit of the park, which
Right.
you're going to.
Yep.
A little more to do there.
Right.
I mean, it's two different kinds of parks, but
Yep.
But the beauty and the difference is, I mean, if you've been to Wahpeton or Fargo or south of Jamestown, any of that's flat. That
Yeah.
land slopes a foot to the mile. And then on the other side of the state, you got the Badland, which is national park type stuff with
Right.
you know,
It's
elk
gorgeous.
and buffalo and wild
Yeah.
horses and mountain lions and rattlesnakes. And
Oh,
good luck with
love
those.
it. Yeah.
But and stunning scenery.
Yeah.
You know,
Stunning.
I mean, you can just appreciate nature. You could appreciate geology. You can appreciate any wildlife. I mean, there are just so many things there.
Right.
Flora and the fauna. There's a lot of variety and everything is there.
Yeah.
Everything.
Make sure you get outdoors this summer. All right. Moving on. So this is a really interesting topic we're going to. Okay. You wrote a story about it, I believe,
Can
this
I leave
morning.
now?
No, no, you cannot leave. But the Minot murder mysteries that are going down, it's incredible. We're becoming the epicenter of this all.
You know what? We are, and I'm almost reluctant to say it because somebody will say, "Quit saying bad things about our city." But
Yeah,
but right now, Minot has a lot of folks either that are charged with murder or convicted of murder, and they're all in Minot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not out in the country somewhere or in the northwest corner of the state. They're right here in Minot.
it's crazy.
And I talked to 3 different people that should know the answer, and they said they can't remember this many murderers or people charged with murder at one time. But
Wow.
one person said, I think we had one more several years ago. They had kind of a rash of them, but
Okay.
this is not good. And they range from, one would be a manslaughter charge, but these are going to put you in the state pen for a while, maybe for life. But we've had the one discovered in a car, a woman,
Yeah.
the car was burned
Wow.
and took a year and a half, 2 years to catch that guy. They've got him out of state somewhere. So he's back in jail. We got one that beat a guy to death just outside the hotel here in Minot.
It's sad.
And then he also got in a fight in the jail. So he's
Okay.
being evaluated at the state hospital in Jamestown. Several bar shootings. We had another one at the hotels on North Hill there that the guy pulled out a gun and shot a guy and went back to his room at the other hotel, had a cigarette, called the police, said, come and get me.
Wow. I do enjoy that cigarette.
So guilty, well, we'll find out. But
Yeah.
that's it's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It
is.
It's a little much for Minot, but I think we've got, the way I figured, I think we've got 11 now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and some of them are convincing, like the one you just mentioned. He calls the police, turns himself in. I did it. The one, I think the trial ended last week where the defense just rested their case. They didn't even present anything.
Right. Matthew Anderson and Regina Goodale, uh, those are the two.
Yep, right.
They were convicted in just hours. The jury went
Yeah.
out and had a pizza and came back and said
Wow.
they're guilty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was that quick. But you're right. The defense didn't call a witness, didn't put their defendants on the stand.
Yeah,
They just let it go. And
that's sad.
the evidence was really overwhelming.
Right.
The arguments were interesting, but it was pretty obvious, I thought, which way the jury's going to go. And you don't really know when it comes to juries. You
Yeah.
don't want to get in that guessing game at all.
No,
But this
you
one,
don't.
you could really feel it.
Yeah.
This one you could really tell. But they're in the jail awaiting sentencing, and they're already convicted. So
Mhm.
it's interesting time to be a jailer.
I'm sure.
Can you
Probably not the
imagine?
most comfortable job right now.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Callum's asking, I wonder if they're local to here or how long ago they moved here. Definitely unsettling. Do you know any of that? Is it mostly local stuff? I know the one that last week, that was pretty much local, I believe.
Repeat that question, would you please?
Do you know if the murders of the people here are local or if they've moved in from out of state?
Oh, they're almost would be a mixture, I guess. A
Okay.
mixture. But there's some people like Matthew Anderson he came in from I believe somewhere in the West
Okay.
and came out here. I'm not sure why, but he was that's what he did. There's another guy that has an appearance tomorrow morning. He's from I think I don't remember this one. I think he's say Baltimore or Atlanta, but
Okay.
he came out here to work, and he was allegedly involved in the shooting at the Dakota Lounge.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
Apprehended him pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So he's got a record somewhere else as well. So
Yeah.
he
It's a
came
mixture.
in to work in oil fields.
Gotcha. That's the central there. Interesting things. Well, stay safe out there, I guess. Another big thing that's happened in the last month or so is my aunt's pretty much biggest business moved. Trinity.
Oh,
What a deal that was.
that was huge, and as much as we talked about it, anticipated the move and enjoyed the new hospital and
Yeah.
nice clean paint job and all those other things that come with a new building. But
Well, about that,
okay.
2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, I had a little kid in that new hospital. And I tell you what, it was a fantastic experience.
Good.
It went well. It was nice. It was big. This room, we had one in the old hospital and then this one in the new hospital. It was a nice, spacious delivery room. And then they took us to the postpartum room, and that was a nice room as well. Not as big, but it's nice. The couch that they give you is definitely uncomfortable for the guy still. So, I mean, it's probably the most miserable night of sleep I've had in a while. But my
Well, you had a
wife,
lot
she gets a
going
nice
on.
bed. She gets a nice bed, and she
But,
went through a lot more than I did. But
The decor there was great, though, right?
yeah,
I mean, the great pictures down the hallway,
wonderful
and
pictures.
wonderful color selection, and
Yeah.
plenty of room,
Right.
and the equipment is right there if you
It
need
is.
it.
It is.
And that really struck me when I took tours of that hospital as they were finishing it up, was the size of the emergency room, which is huge now.
Yeah.
And then the size of the child
Yep. Delivery, labor and
neonatal
delivery.
or whatever we
Yeah.
want. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where most hospitals do their business these days, and it's
Makes
really
sense.
reflected
Yeah.
in the building of that hospital. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is there's less rooms in that hospital for patients
Okay.
than in the old hospital
Wow.
by 53 or 5,
Wow.
something like that.
That's incredible.
And that reflects medicine today, that there's a lot of surgeries where
Yep.
we'll operate on you and send you home. You don't have to stay here for a week.
My understanding is they also have it more hybrid, where they have rooms that can flex to ICU or to a different need. However, the trend is at that time for the hospital.
They do. They have that capability. It's really, really set up very, very well.
Yeah.
And their ambulance bay is spacious. They can get, I don't know how many ambulances you could get, 6 or 8, or
Yeah.
large trucks or whatever you need to get in there.
And I heard that it also doubles as a like if there was a mass casualty event or something like that where we had a lot of emergencies, where it also covers for a bay for that.
There's a big decontamination room
Okay.
there. So if the workers that come in off the ambulance or the fire truck
Yep.
or whatever it is, they're going to go in there, and
Wow.
it's like a giant shower room.
Incredible.
They're
That's
going to
very
be
cool.
clean when they come out of there.
Yeah,
I
that's
guarantee
good.
you. So, and then the other thing that I was really struck by that hospital was attention to mental health too. They had some
Okay.
areas set aside for that were pretty impressive.
That's good.
You know, and mental health for years was just okay, just lock them up.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. But there's a much different, much more
Approach.
caring approach to that
Good.
now, and a much more understanding, and it's reflected up there too.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. When you walk in the front doors, you actually feel like you're walking into a hospital now.
Yeah.
It always felt weird when you went into Trinity at the old building. You're like, do you go through the emergency room? Do you go up to the other level? How do you get into the hospital? But now you know where to go, and it'll get better. That experience will get better, but you actually feel like you know what you're supposed to do a little bit. So
One another thing that struck me was and I don't know medical things like
yeah,
doctors or
me
whatever,
either.
but the operating rooms, they look like operating rooms you see on some of these medical shows on TV, or even
Nice.
better.
Yeah,
You know?
right. That's good.
And but what do I know, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm listening to the people giving the tour, and they're saying, yeah, we've had doctors come in from major hospitals.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
big time hospitals. And
Right.
they come into that emergency room or the operating room and go, wow, we don't even have this.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
That's awesome.
Pretty impressive.
Be good for recruiting doctors, surgeons. That'll be awesome. Well, that's happening, but I don't think that's the only effect. So you got this nice new hospital. Now what happens to the downtown? Do we just forget about the downtown area?
Yeah,
It's different down there.
I just started to touch on that. That's one thing that we knew it was coming, right?
Right.
But we didn't know really what it would look like. And
Yeah.
after you see what it looks like, you don't want to look at it again.
Yeah.
So, and you brought up an interesting thought. How long does it take for that building to start
Yeah.
crumbling and
Breaking down.
deteriorating, and pigeons to move in, and all those things that
Right.
happens to buildings that aren't being occupied? And,
Yeah.
and I don't know the answers to that, but
Right. Me either.
and there's some of that building is 100 and some years old, and some is more modern, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a problem for the city, I think. You know,
Yeah.
I haven't heard of, and I did make some inquiries on this, and I've heard of no plans. There's some,
Hmm.
little chit chat here and there, but somebody might want a room in the corner, but there's another.
Right. How big is that building? Do you know?
Oh,
It's
I don't remember the number.
got to be 6 figures in the square footage.
Yeah,
Pretty big.
I don't remember the amount of square foot, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's multiple floors and levels, and
Right.
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens to that. And obviously, the city hall moved into downtown area right around the time Trinity was moving out. So that was a good thing for a downtown area. But still, you got parking lots that are just empty. You don't need the parking garages anymore because now Trinity doesn't use their parking lots.
Correct.
It's a different feeling downtown. And it'll be interesting to see
Those
how that
Trinity
goes.
employees were good for downtown Minot.
They were. They were. And not only
people
that.
visiting patients and whatnot.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That's huge because you get tourists that are going to the restaurants, that are going to shopping, all that stuff, and you just lose that. Now you're going to have Five Guys and you're going to have Sonic and all those restaurants out there that are going to get that attention rather than that downtown. It'll be interesting.
Talking about the new hospital in the south
Right. in the
west
south
edge
part.
of town, or outside
Exactly.
of town. Yeah.
Right.
And it's a beautiful facility. And I know one thing people have finding out that it takes a little more time to get there,
Right.
is really the old Trinity Hospital was, for all practical purposes, in the center of Minot.
It
So you
was.
were equidistant from the hospital, no matter where you were. Well, now that's changed. So
Right.
that they're still working through how to handle that exactly. And
Yeah.
people are adjusting, and obviously you had to build a hospital somewhere. So
Right.
that's-
But let's look at this. 100 years ago, Trinity probably wasn't where it is located now.
you see some of the old photos, there wasn't much there. It was just
Wasn't
that,
much
that
there.
old building and a few other buildings,
Yeah.
and whatnot, but it was built in the right place at the right time.
So
and,
you give it 25 years and maybe Trinity's again closer central.
yeah, that might very well be the case. There's a lot of
Yeah.
building going on out in that area.
Right.
So
There is.
a lot of
There is.
improvements.
Yeah. Be interesting to see how that goes. All right. I heard that recycling is going to start soon. Talking about City Hall.
Yeah, the city had planned initially on delivering the recycled carts, which I forget everything goes in there, but it's plastic and glass and this and that. So they had hoped to deliver those this month,
Okay.
but I called City Hall again and I did a little update. They said, well, the company that delivers the carts, let them know it's a little bit of a delay. So it should be coming up here in the first part of July, I think, or by mid-July. And once the carts are delivered, you're probably going to be recycling that week or the next week. So, and there's instruction sheets will come with every
Right.
cart. You'll get them in the mail and whatnot,
Yeah.
what days and what you can put in there. And it's new age for Minot.
Right. Is this
They
good for
come with a
Minot?
charge. What's that?
Is it good for Minot?
You know, I don't know. It makes people feel good. Is it
Yeah,
good?
right.
I don't know. And then they got to pack it all up in a semi trailer, I guess, and ship it to Shakopee, Minnesota to be processed. And
Yeah.
when you get a lot of money for recycled products, it's probably pretty good. When you don't get so much, it's
Right.
not a very good business.
Because then on the national stage, which we're not going to really go far into this because it's beyond me, but you don't necessarily have a ton of people that are interested in buying it. So it creates a whole nother conversation of, is the cost of it worth it and all this stuff. Maybe we should just stop using plastic instead of just trying to recycle it, make us feel better about what we use.
That's an option.
Yeah.
There's stores now are starting to charge for plastic bags,
Right.
take your merchandise home.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy.
I'm not sure. I haven't run into that yet. I'm not sure how I'll react to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was out in Oregon a couple years ago and I had that and I didn't buy the bag. Just kind of carried my items out to my car. And so they won. I mean, if the game is to get people to use less plastic, they won because I didn't use the bag.
Yeah.
And so maybe overall that's a good thing.
You know, I bought some of those cloth totes, you can put
Yep.
a lot of groceries in. I never use them.
Right. Yeah.
I'll
Well,
just go to the grocery store and pick up a few things
yeah,
and grab a plastic bag. So
exactly.
maybe I'll have to change the way I do things.
Remember when they got rid of paper bags?
Oh boy. Yeah, I wonder what those would cost today compared to
Yeah.
plastic. So
Right. Yeah.
didn't feel so bad about paper. They can
No,
burn those or
exactly,
whatever. But
right.
plastic stays around.
It does. It does.
Been
And
around a long time.
yeah, it's interesting. So that rolls out next month. They don't give a date, but sometime next month we'll start seeing those hanging out.
Right. Next month is pretty soon.
It is. It's coming up in a couple of days this weekend.
When I think about plastic, I think I was several years ago down at the Audubon Refuge, and they had a pond there that they were lining out in the country. I mean, it's around the refuge, but it's just a pond.
Okay.
And they drained it and they lined it with this plastic liner and then filled the pond back in.
Okay.
And it's cattails and ducks live in there and those
Yeah.
kind of things. And I said, really? I said, yeah, now it'll last 100 years. So every time I go by that pond, I
You think
think
about that.
nobody knows, but there's plastic under there.
There's a use for the plastic.
So I think of that when I pick up plastic
Yeah.
bags. Where does this thing go?
Right. Yeah. 100 years.
Yeah.
100 years. Somebody asks, are we ever going to get a Sam's Club? We don't got the answer to that, I don't think. We've heard about it. I've heard it rumored for many years, but I don't know.
Yeah, you hear those Sam's Club, Red Lobster.
Chick-fil-A. I want a Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A,
Get me a
yeah,
Chick-fil-A.
the Chick-fil-A is another one, but it has to do a lot, I guess, with population.
Okay.
And I don't know what those numbers would be. I'm not a marketer for those
Yeah.
companies, but having an interstate go through your town doesn't hurt.
That helps. I heard, I think it's common knowledge that there's going to be a Freddy's in the next couple years. Have you ever been to a Freddy's?
No, you got me. It sounds like
Oh.
a movie.
No, Freddy's. Freddy's is a burger and shake shop. It's kind of like Culver's, same concept, right? But different food. Okay. Fargo has one. And I believe that mine is supposed to get one in the next couple of years. So I'm looking forward to that. I like me a good Freddy's.
Okay.
They make some good hamburgers. So good stuff. No, it's cool to see new businesses come to Minot. We've seen that over the last couple of years, and that's been great.
And there wasn't too many years ago, and Minot was even busier with oil field traffic. You could
Right.
see it on the streets, everything. But there were a lot of businesses that were looking at moving into Minot.
Yeah.
Watford City got an abundance of businesses.
Right.
The Taco John's and then
Yeah.
a Burger King or McDonald's, whatever they got out there now. And hotels. I mean, Watford
Yeah.
City, really
Right.
great sport. I mean, they got all kinds of things, and Minot picked up a few,
Right.
you know, and probably you're going to pick up a few more, but not that big rush like it was at one time. And
Right.
I know Blaze Pizza was one that was looking pretty
Okay.
seriously at Minot.
They settled on Bismarck.
And well, yeah, but there's been a few restaurant chains that
Mm-hmm.
people bought up, and they're
Okay.
given 5 years or 6 years to build the restaurants.
I see.
And then they see the trend in
Yeah.
population, and they request permission to slow down a little bit. Can I
Right.
have 2 more years? Can I have an extension? And those extensions are being granted. So
That's why it's important for us to fill out the census, they say, when it's time to do that stuff, because it affects
Exactly.
whether or not we get
yeah,
Chick-fil-A or not.
and Minot is, I think we're still growing. I mean, I don't know what
Yeah.
the latest numbers are, but we haven't, we
I would
have
agree.
7,700 kids in the school system. We got,
Yeah.
who knows how many teachers that is, 600 and some, I think, or even more.
And it seems like every industry is suffering with a or employee shortage. They need more employees. We're getting a second high school.
Don't ask me the answer to that one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's signs. Every business has got to sign up, help wanted,
Right. Yeah.
or they change their hours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
you
do.
go to a restaurant to sit down at 7:30 and they're closed.
Right. Right. Yeah. Shots, truck stop. They were no longer 24-hour for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that to us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a big deal, and everybody's short. You go somewhere to get food these days, and you expect to wait a while.
Yeah, you do.
I'm really impatient. So I pull up to a drive-in window. I say I'd like a burger and fries.
Yeah.
I want to pull forward and get it.
Right.
And it's
That's how it used to be.
15, 20 minutes. I can't stand it.
No.
I've left those lines several times, by the way. So
Yeah.
that's me, anybody. But
Oh, that makes sense to
I'm
me.
learning to be a little more patient.
Yeah.
Or eat at home more.
That's probably a good option. Eat at home more. I've been trying that myself. Again, this is the Dakotan Live. It's with Kim Fundingsland, brought to you by Shocks Safe and Lock, and it's something new that we're doing. We're gonna do this once a month. We'll set a day so that way you can count on it. Maybe every second Tuesday of every month or something like that. But we're wanting to create an opportunity for our readers to be able to engage, ask us questions, get to know Kim better, get to know what's going on with what's going on in the city, what's going on in the state level. So make sure you ask us questions. Also, though, we want to hear your news tips, whether they're on this live stream or whether it's tomorrow morning you hear about something that's going down. Let us know. Drop us a message on Facebook or send us an email to info@mydakotan.com. We'll respond to all those, or we'll get them on the site, whatever needs to happen. But definitely want to hear what's going on in the community from the community.
What we really do, John, because you and I we go 2 different ways generally,
Right.
But we don't hit all the places in town that other
Yeah.
people hit. So we really like to hear from folks that might know something over here that we haven't heard about, and so that's good stuff. Say, are you a pickleball player, by the way?
I got a couple cousins they're coming out here in August, and I might have to be, but I haven't started playing yet.
Okay, you can't do it with golf clubs. You can try, but
That'd
anyway,
be pretty good.
where I was going with this is the tennis courts at
Okay.
Roosevelt Park are being renovated, and those will be
Yeah.
available sometime in August, probably
Okay.
early August. That's optimistic, but Park Board thought that was realistic at the same time. So they'll have 8 pickleball courts, official pickleball courts in Minot. So
Will there be any tennis courts left, or can you still use it as a tennis court?
no, those will be strictly pickleball.
So if you want to play,
Right now, you've got pickleball players using some of the other tennis courts.
okay,
So
Yeah.
like Hammond Park's got, where they have 8 courts there.
Right.
and That's a great place to play.
yeah,
Then there's, I'm going to mess this up, Leach Park
okay,
down near Oak Park, just to the north of Oak Park, kind of hidden back there. They
Yep.
have a couple of pickleball courts there.
interesting.
And they're busy, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know if you play pickleball. It's a trend. I go to the Y sometimes, and they'll have part of the court shut down, basketball court shut down for pickleball, and I don't feel like that's right. I want to play basketball, but I guess pickleball is the big thing.
I guess I'd never seen it until I went and watched a little bit of it here in Minot, and I've seen some of the pickleball on TV. I think they even got a pro pickleball circuit now.
Okay.
I think, but Isn't that what Tom Brady from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers
I
is
think
into
so.
now? Pickleball
I think so.
circuit. So anyway, it's just,
You're going to start playing pickleball?
I don't think so.
No?
You know, it's interesting. I might.
should
I
do
could-
it.
Yeah, I could play pickleball.
You could do it.
I was
I believe
awful at I was just terrible at tennis.
Okay.
I was just awful. I had a couple friends who were good at tennis, and they would, when I was younger, and they'd call and say, "Let's go play tennis." And gosh, I hated those phone calls. I knew what was going to happen.
You're just going to get
I don't
beat.
like to lose at anything, and I just get killed.
Yeah, that's no fun. That is not fun at all.
No.
So very good. So yes, if you hear of any news that's going on, you send us an email, info@mydakotan.com, or go ahead and give us a message on Facebook. Would love to hear about it. And make sure you tune into this next month when we do it again. The Dakotan Live with Kim Fundingsland, brought to you by Shock Safe and Lock. It's something we want to do every month. We want to stay engaged with you guys, our readers, with the community. So let us know what your thoughts are on it. Do you have any parting words of wisdom, Kim?
I haven't been accused of having wisdom for a long time, Jonathan. But I think one thing to kind of keep an eye on, I think, is the GOP elected a new chairman.
Right.
Perry Schaefer is out. Sandy Sanford is in.
Right.
And they elected a whole new staff of officers. So there's been a real shift of the dynamics in the Republican Party.
Right.
When there's been a lot of infighting in the Republican Party in North Dakota for several years. So this is we'll see. This is a big switch. So we'll see how they come out of this.
Sandy Sanford is the wife of the former lieutenant governor, correct?
Correct. Who abdicated his throne or was resigned from that position.
His last election?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
And some people speculate it's because his wife didn't see eye to eye with a lot of the.
Okay.
I don't even know if mainstream Republican. I don't know which side of the fence that's on.
I have no idea anymore.
But it's changing. The
It is.
Political landscape is definitely changing, and not just in North Dakota, but everywhere.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's getting a lot more divisive for sure, which is a bummer. But yeah, that will be an interesting thing to keep our eye on, especially with then Governor Burgum declaring his run for president and everything. It's just really interesting to see
at the last Republican convention, it was interesting to hear from Hoeven and Kramer and those views that they have differ from the views that the party is now. At least if I can read tea leaves a little bit. So there's something's going to come to a head. Yeah,
it will in the state. So something to keep your eye on at the state level for sure. So, well, once again, thank you for joining us today on the Dakotan Live with Kim Fundingsland, brought to you by Shock Safe and Lock. We appreciate all the comments, all the shares, all the likes. Make sure you continue to do that. Like, share the content, and make sure you tune in next month when we will go live once again. So appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great night.